All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Your Voice Matters. I'm Justin Brown. So good to have you with us on this rainy Tuesday in Columbus. It's been a pretty busy day on Capitol Hill and a pretty busy day in Georgia as well. We've had multiple people running for governor of Georgia, visiting the Chattahoochee Valley, and also some new bills that are being talked about on Capitol Hill, as well as this redistricting event that's now happening in Alabama. So it's been a busy day, busy past week politically, really. But first, what we're going to start tonight is a bill that's being fought for on Capitol Hill. This is the Military Spouse Small Business Recognition Act. So what this is trying to do is it's designates military spouse small business owners as a disadvantaged category, meaning that they could be. If this passes, they could be given some help with financially and given some resources from the federal government because they are a military spouse that owns a small business. Pretty self-explanatory there. The founder of the Military Spouses Chamber of Commerce was on Capitol Hill fighting for this bill, and our friends over at the Gray DC Bureau, they're the ones that were able to catch up with her on what this bill is exactly, where this came from, and how this is going to be going to help military spouses across the country. With Fort Benning being here in the Chattahoochee Valley, this could be a pretty big deal for families here at home. So let's go listen to this interview. It's a few minutes long, but this is Patricia Brown. And again, she is the CEO of the Military Spouses Chamber of Commerce. It's a pretty interesting bill, and it's pretty interesting to see where this could go and that it could be passed pretty quickly, and what this could mean for military spouses and those business owners in the area and across the country. Take a listen.
We're recording, so first things first, can you say and spell your first and last name and give me a title?
Stephanie Brown, Stephanie. Brown is Brown. I am the CEO and co-founder of the U.S. Military Spouse Chamber of Commerce.
And first things first, what are we doing here today?
We are here to advocate for the Military Spouse Small Business Recognition Act. We're advocating on with congressional members and senators to get this bill passed.
And what is the Military Spouse Recognition Act?
It designates military spouse small business owners as a disadvantaged category.
You want to restart that answer just
okay, thanks.
Trip you up. I just look at me though.
Oh, look at you.
Yes.
My apologies.
No, you're good.
So the Military Spouse Small Business Recognition Act designates military spouse small business owners as an SBA 8A disadvantaged category. And that designation provides a array of services and support, including set-aside contracts, federal contracting opportunities, mentoring, and reduction in fees for SBA guaranteed loans.
So it essentially opens doors for military spouses to get more from the SBA.
That's exactly right.
Why aren't military spouses already getting this?
That's a great question. We have been advocating and trying to get this recognition and just be recognized in general, that not all military spouses today are seeking traditional employment. In fact, that option is oftentimes very difficult, and primary reason why we have such a high, in fact, the highest unemployment rate of any category in the country. The military spouses hold that. So we've been advocating and fighting to get military spouse small business owners and entrepreneurs, those that are self-employed, to be recognized, and resources be committed and support be committed to not just those that are seeking traditional employment, but those that are self-employed and who are also job creators themselves.
And obviously, being a military spouse means that, that in itself is kind of its own full-time job, but, it means you're moving a lot potentially. It means for chunks of time while your spouse is on deployment, especially if you have kids, you're the single parent essentially. So military spouses, in many ways, traditional employment is just for those reasons alone harder, which make, owning your own business gives you flexibility, obviously.
Correct. So almost half, around 48% of military spouses surveyed are either already entrepreneurs and small business owners or are interested in self-employment entrepreneurship. Why? Because it is a viable, portable career option. When your service member is deployed or on a training mission and you're at home, you are no longer in most cases, you've already moved at least once, PCS, permanent change of station, military orders. So you don't have that built-in network and camaraderie in your new location that you did in your previous or where you're from. If you have children, you can't call your sister and go, hey, can you babysit? I have a job interview tomorrow. So just the unique challenges that military spouses face when it comes to traditional employment, in many cases being self-employed can be a solution to that. And what we've learned is it's not just the financial impact that self-employment provides or can provide to military families. It's so much bigger than that. It is that qualitative impact that military spouses share with us, that they went from being unemployed and unemployable to being self-employed and building something of their own, having their self-worth, they become more confident, it impacts their marriage, it impacts the way their kids look at them. I mean, it really is an option that for far too long we have not been paying attention to, and there's some of us that have been knocking on that door and speaking to that path for many years, and finally over the last 5-6 years, it's being recognized as a very viable option.
Now, the other thing you pointed out, I believe during the roundtable, or somebody certainly did, was this isn't just a, in addition to being the right thing to do and helping those who serve our country and their families. It also is vital for the mission in many ways. I mean, military readiness, the ability, recruiting, and retainment. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So one thing I don't think a lot of people realize, that military spouses being unemployed and underemployed already has a cost to taxpayers. And we know that it's between $700 million and $1.2 billion a year. The other cost is mission readiness, retention, and recruitment. Military spouse career opportunities, or lack thereof, is one of the top 3 reasons service members choose not to re-up. So we are losing not just the money that the government spends on training and equipping our military members, when they get out, because we have to turn around and spend that money again, but the issue of unemployment is already costing taxpayers money. So it impacts mission readiness, retention, and recruitment. Investing in our military spouses as small business owners, yes, it is the right thing to do, but it also helps build stronger, financially secure military families who are more likely to choose to remain in the military and recommend military service to other family members and friends. It's really a win-win for all involved, especially our military families.
And also, just on a more basic level, you don't want someone, especially in a war zone on deployment, stressing about how their spouse is going to pay the bills.
So my late husband served 30 years in the Navy, multiple deployments, combat tours, training, you name it. And after 9/11, the community he served in, the Navy SEAL community, we would literally have SEAL teams deploy for 8 months out of the year. And so the families, we were very tight-knit, we would come together. Children of these war fighters would see, the war on the news, right? So we're having to deal with and maintain that. But in all the years that I've been advocating and training and mentoring military spouse business owners, I've never had a service member, especially those coming back from combat, say to me, don't help my military spouse, don't help my family. It is just the opposite. It is us asking, what can we do to support you while you're downrange or while you're off on a dangerous training mission? What can we do to support you? The answer is always help my family. They want to know that when they're deployed and serving, that if the car breaks down, if the washing machine breaks down, something happens, your kid has an issue with school, that we as a community, and especially in the command, will wrap our arms around those families, those spouses, right? There's a saying in the military spouse community, if it's going to break and go wrong, it's going to do it when they're deployed. I've been a plumber, I've been an electrician, you name it, we have worn those hats. But I think, you know, this is an opportunity for us to show that we're not just trying to get military spouses employed, because if that solution were easy, we would not still have the highest unemployment rate in the country at 22%. For enlisted families, that number is over 30% unemployment. So if that were easy, we would have solved that problem. Now we're saying the other side of that same coin is being a business owner and being self-employed.
And you yourself, I assume, are a small business owner, and obviously your work with Chamber of Commerce, so you did well despite not having what this legislation, the opportunities it would afford you. However, how would they have helped you and potentially made things easier for you?
Well, I was a small business owner when I met my husband and when I married my husband. So I was a small but successful business owner in my field. I loved what I did. I mean, I was walking on cloud nine. Then one day I meet this gentleman, and a year later I'm married to him, and suddenly within 30 days he receives orders overseas. So what do? So I sold my business, followed him, and thought, oh, I'll just start it up all over again. And I realized that there was no network, there was no support system to help me manage that, not only living overseas, but to reinvigorate my existing business. And I met so many other military spouses throughout the years that had the same challenge. And most entrepreneurs, we see a problem, we see a challenge, and the first thing we want to do is to create a solution. And that's that entrepreneurial mindset. But being able to be a part of that and create those solutions, create that community for networking has really been a gift for me. It's my way to give back, my way to support not just the military spouses today, but the military spouses that are going to come up behind us, and let them know that there's an alternative, that it's okay, there's a community, there's support. And now with this bill, there will be more opportunities doing business with the government, with federal agencies, which will amplify to the private sector, state, local governments. This is really the first step to plant our flag, have our elected officials, our country recognize military spouses and the sacrifice that we make. And those younger spouses will know that the work was done to make that their road, their journey, that much easier. Sorry, I'm rambling.
You're good. Just putting a bow on everything. What does it mean to you to be here with these military spouses, to be fighting for your fellow military spouses, to potentially help the next generation achieve their dreams?
Yeah. I'm so excited and humbled to be here. I have worked alongside military spouse business owners and budding entrepreneurs for many years. Being able to stand side by side with spouses like me who are entrepreneurial and create jobs and impact our communities around the country and strengthen our families, to be able to stand side by side with him on the Hill to meet these congressmen and women and senators is almost unimaginable. We're so capable. There's so many different types of businesses out there. Just to be able to allow them to share their stories with their elected officials is really, it's a gift. It really is amazing. I'm super excited and very proud of them and the work that they do.
All right, that was Patricia Brown. She is the CEO of the Chamber of Commerce for Military Spouses. Pretty cool initiative that she and other military spouses have started, and the bill that they are pushing for. So, best of luck to them in getting that bill passed. We're going to take a short break. It is 7:17 Eastern Time on Your Voice Matters, and we'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to Your Voice Matters, and let's take a look at the Georgia budget. Governor Brian Kemp signed this into law today, the fiscal year 2027 budget, and our reporter in Atlanta, Abacasaurus, has a breakdown of what is listed in this budget for the next fiscal year.
In a room built for celebration, Governor Brian Kemp signs his last budget, then drops a warning.
With the tax cuts, the state must now address a reduction in revenue for the coming fiscal year of nearly $1 billion, and that's assuming we don't have an economic downturn.
Kemp orders agencies to withhold more than $300 million in proposed new spending, what he calls, quote, disregards. He says core funding stays, classrooms, the 988 mental health crisis line, public safety, storm recovery, anything new now sits on ice.
Georgia will not follow in the steps of Washington, D.C.
But Democrats say the tax relief headlines hide the trade-off, that property and income tax cuts come with fewer services.
The governor had to take a red pen and strike through so many things people depend on. It sounds great in the headlines. Headlines sound great. Oh, we're going to give you tax breaks. But what is underneath that is that you're going to lose the services that you depend on.
One of the items caught in the freeze, money to run Sunbucks, a summer meals program. Lawmakers pegged administration costs at about $2 million to unlock $143 million in federal food aid, but the governor's office says DHS estimates costs closer to $7 million.
These kids are our future, and they deserve, a leg to stand on.
Kemp warns the state may still lean on savings to close the gap, but he'd rather take the heat now than hand the next governor a mess.
I just wasn't going to leave the state or our next governor in that, or the General Assembly, quite honestly, in that fiscal position.
So some uncertainty is going to be left when Governor Kemp leaves office. You heard that senator there just saying that several services that residents depend on were cut when these tax breaks were given out. So it's going to be interesting to see how the state brings those back if they choose to do so. One Governor Kemp is the former governor of Georgia instead of the current one. Before we go, let's take a look at the special session in Montgomery. It wrapped up on Friday, and now Governor Ivey has officially called for special elections for districts 1, 2, 6, and 7. But here is how a special session ended in Montgomery last week.
I do want to remind you something that you said yesterday.
This is video of a protester on the ground as State House security tried to remove her from the gallery. The protester was later identified as the Black Lives Matter Fund's state organizing member, Dee Reed. She was removed from the gallery by security and state troopers. After an hour recess, lawmakers got back on the floor and voted for Senate Bill 1 along party lines.
That is not Alabama. That shouldn't be Alabama. Those are individuals who were standing for democracy. This is their house.
While Republicans have kept their public comments minimal this week, House Speaker Nathaniel Ledbetter fielded questions after the bill's passage.
A lot of the members here who are black talking about this setting Alabama back, 60 years to Jim Crow.
I think that's ridiculous. What about when we had it overturned and the Republicans lost it in court? So we didn't riot, we didn't protest. We did what we thought was did in a professional manner. To have that kind of statement to me is ridiculous.
Similar sentiments were shared by Senate President Pro Tem Garland Gudger. The Senate passed House Bill 1 also on party lines.
I think that their focus is on the wrong focus. I think their focus is exactly what the court said, which should be about a partisan lines, not about race.
Senator Vivian Davis Figures, the mother of U.S. Representative Shamari Figures, says the pushback is not about keeping specifically her son in Washington.
And it's important to have somebody speaking up for the people that they know, who know what their plight is.
And again, those special elections have been called by Governor Ivey, and major parties will be able to qualify through May, while minor parties can qualify through August. And the primaries will be held August 11th, and then the general election day will be November 3rd. So it's going to be another busy year in Alabama. All right, well, that is all the time that we have left for Your Voice Matters on this Tuesday. Remember, we're going to be here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. to break down all the big events that are happening in Georgia and in Alabama, and a few national events as well. So we'll be back here same time next Tuesday for Your Voice Matters. I'm Justin Brown, and I'll see you next week. Have a good evening.